If you are a frequent listener to the podcast, you know that we have been sponsored by Fuji Sports for quite some time now. Whether you're looking for apparel, equipment, bags, or accessories, Fuji Sports has got it covered. Go to fujisports.com to see the latest selection of everything you need for your jiu-jitsu, judo, or MMA journey. That's fujisports.com. Let me take a minute to tell you about RŌL TV. If you're looking to take your jiu-jitsu to the next level and supplement your BJJ education, then RŌL TV has you covered. RŌLAcademy.tv has over 1,500 videos covering individual techniques, positions, and concepts, including seminars and workshops with top-level competitors and instructors like Chris Wojcik, Robert Drysdale, Aaron Hurley, Emily Kwok, and more. Whether you are a beginner or more advanced student, RŌL TV is the online platform that can take your jiu-jitsu to the next level. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you listen. This helps us bring you the great guests and amazing content that you've come to expect. In this conversation, Thomas's guest shares his insights on the parallels between life and jiu-jitsu, emphasizing the importance of adaptability, community, and the pursuit of excellence. He discusses the challenges of retention in jiu-jitsu, the impact of external factors, and the significance of discipline over motivation. He reflects on the role of leadership and personal relationships in shaping his journey, while also addressing the importance of growth and accountability in training. Here's the RŌL Radio with a Jiu-Jitsu black belt, who, along with past guest and his wife Cathryn Discianni, is the co-owner of New Asgard Martial Arts, AJ Discianni.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we're live. AJ, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal to talk to you today. And right before we start recording, we said life is almost like jiu-jitsu. You gotta adjust. You gotta pivot. You gotta figure out ways around the obstacles. Do you find it the same way?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the beauty of really life or jujitsu, right? It's its own puzzle. There's no, there's no right, there's no finish, set path or anything. Like, it's just constantly evolving and moving through things. It's kind of the beauty. It's probably what attracted me to jujitsu, as opposed to a lot of sports or even combat sports. It's just there's infinite possibility, and I think life is draws a lot of parallels with that.
Well, let me ask you this right off the bat then, because you mentioned something important. There's a lot of a lot of pivots. There's a lot of this, right? There are a lot of layers, but at the same time, in the same sentence, you said there's no end to it. Is that really true? I mean, do we ever get to the end of jiu-jitsu?
No, for sure. I mean, I've thought so many times about quitting or um, i- things along that line, but the everlasting chase of like figuring, like you're not going to be perfect, but chasing what you think is ideal, which I think is like a better way to think about it. Like what's ideal versus like what is perfect, right? Is there's just too many variables and things change and evolve, and again, you could stop the whole first part of the podcast and you don't know if I'm talking about life or jujitsu at this point now. But it is the beauty of jujitsu is like there's just no end to it, and it constantly evolving. It's such a young sport, and there's just so many different perspectives on it and eyes on it now. So it's cool. It just it's ever changing, and that's probably the thing I like the most about it is I genuinely chase whatever my ceiling is. I'm trying to hit that as closest to it as possible, at least.
Do you think that's easy to say when we've been on the mat for so long? But for those who are just starting, so perhaps you have a student walking in today or maybe tomorrow, and they're like, "I want to try this cool thing that you guys do."
Yeah,
And it's like, well, what's my goal here? How do I get to the, to be there? And your response is, well, you never get there. So wouldn't that turn people away?
I mean, maybe. I think Kat maybe talked about this too, but like, the saying is that jujitsu is for everyone, but it's not for anyone, I think, honestly.
Hmm.
Like a lot of people can join it. I think there is something to be found for everybody, but it's not not everybody lasts. I have a great dynamic with my students where we talk and there's free flow of information. And, every once in a while, a white belt would be like, man, like, there's like a light bulb will go off and they'll be like, man, like I didn't realize that's what I was missing, or there's just so much to learn. I'm like, I don't know what's scarier, the ignorance or actually the lack of it. Like, you don't know
Mhm.
what you don't know. And I'm getting to the point where I realize how much I don't know, and I'm teaching you. Like, so
Yeah.
which one's scarier? That I kind of know what's out in that void. You have no idea. Um,
That's
there's like a
fascinating, isn't it? I
yeah.
mean, that literally happened to me last week when we were talking with my students, and we were creating correlations between different concepts, and one of the guys said, "Well, wait, this is almost the same as we talked about just a couple weeks ago, just from a completely different position." I was like, "Ding, ding, right there." I mean, that's gold, right? Right? I mean, like the moment we start connecting those dots.
Yeah, I don't. Have you ever watched the show The Bear?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a scene, and if people aren't familiar, it's definitely on Instagram somewhere. But there's a scene where Carmi, who's made it to his peak, he's a black belt at chef level, right? And he's really
Hmm.
doubting his future. And he asks the chef who taught him everything, like, "Hey, if you could go back and tell yourself in the beginning, like one piece of advice, and what would it be?" And she said, "In the beginning, you're so ignorant, you don't know anything. You're invincible, right?" And it's I wish I could go back and tell myself the same thing. Like, there's such a beauty in not realizing you know nothing. Like, you are true. Man, I would love to go back and have a white belt match as myself and just like, it's all energy. Nothing's getting done. Like, it's just pure white belt energy. In the room, everything's new, everything's vibrant, everything's beautiful. The light bulbs click. There's always something to add because you know nothing. Um, and that line really hit because it was very parallel to how I feel now. It's like, man, I wish I could go back and be invincible, because on the other side of it, you're like, wow, there is a huge void, and now I see that, right? Like, it's you're standing on Earth and you're like, well, the Earth's pretty big, but I know there's a continent there and there's a continent there, and then somebody tells you there's a universe, and then there's stuff bigger out there, and you're like, what? And that's how jujitsu feels right now. It's like, man, like I know that there's other stuff out there, and it's daunting because I know I'll never have all of it.
Well, that's the fascinating part behind all of this is that uh, we chase it, but
Yeah.
we never get it, or at least it appears that way, right?
Yeah, we're like addicts in our own way, right? Like I said, it's a never ending chase, and it's just the way that you shape it. Like I said, I shape it in the way that um you know, maybe I'll never be world class, but there's a elite version of me, and I do everything I can to chase that. Whether it's an instructor, as a business owner, as a competitor, like there's a top tier version of me, that the best version of me somewhere, and maybe that guy's not top 1 million in the world in jiu-jitsu, but it's the best version of me. Um, and that for me is the motivator. Like I said, on all the hats that I wear, that's really what keeps me driven, and more disciplined than motivated, is that I know, like, there's still levels to hit.
Well, then how do you establish the elite version of AJ? I mean, it's always easy said and done, but I would imagine this is a moving target. I mean, better you get, the elite version gets farther away, right? By definition of never catching it.
Yeah, I think that's the chase, right? And maybe the word isn't target. Maybe I'm using ceiling wrong, because those are like finite structures. But
Yeah.
I think is it's fine if the goalposts move. Even if it's down, I think it's fine as long as the discipline to chase it is still there. And that's what it is for me. I'm very, I think, self-aware of where I fall in the grand scheme of things, but I think as long as I'm enjoying learning, then there's a spot for me in the sport. Whenever I lose that feeling, then I'm not sure I want to do it anymore.
Have you been in that spot that you're not sure if you want to do it anymore?
Yeah, yeah. For reasons outside of the sport, I for sure have become very jaded with it. I was just talking to our students the other day about it. Like, there's days where I got to come in here because I know that it's what I'm supposed to do, or that's what I feel like I owe to people, but I don't really want to be doing it, if in full transparency. the sport, I feel like, has never done me wrong. I've never been bored with it. I've never hit a slump where I'm like, oh, this is just not for me. There's just, it's always external factors. You think a couple years ago we went through COVID, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that was a game changer. How many people quit because of that? I've had
I know
several.
gyms that shut down.
There you go. I mean, so here's a perfect example. Like, during COVID, I bought myself the next, I think it was a rash guard. I bought myself the next ranked rash guard so I didn't have to see myself like if I had
You
to,
you
if
are
I
that
quit,
guy, huh?
yeah, if I quit and I threw that away, like I had to throw that away, it would eat at me, right? So, I've had major injuries. Obviously, we lost our dream gym that we built. Life things happen, you lose friends and family and everything that is weighed down on me about jujitsu has been external, but jujitsu itself has never done me wrong in that sense.
That was hard time, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, there's been a lot of it, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people, I feel like, want to try this, especially as jiu-jitsu getting more and more popular. But now you are mentioning something really, really important, that jiu-jitsu itself is not all of the jiu-jitsu that we experience as these external forces, external circumstances that oftentimes influence not only our performance but our attitude and how we train and what we train and how we even approach this. Is that because jiu-jitsu is so interconnected with us, with life? Like, why can't we just separate these things?
I think it just becomes such a big piece of how you perceive things and how you spend your time. It's a an individual sport but with a team, so you just grow attachments. um I can say, and I would love to ask you your experience, but I can't tell you how many times Kat and I will be like, do you remember when we went to Spain, or not that we went to Spain, but like or the Philippines, for instance. Or do you remember when we were hanging out with such and such? And she was like, "Oh man, like that was when we were back at Blue Belt." Like, not that was 2016 or whatever. It was like, "Oh yeah, that was we did that. We must have been purple belts." Like, everything's categorized almost by like where I was in jujitsu or like what we were doing
Mm.
with jujitsu at the time. And the life and jujitsu have become very intertwined. So I'm very fortunate to say that I don't, come to the gym and think about that stuff. This is my safe haven. But there's definitely times where it's been a lot harder to get up out of bed to go, or to even straight up continuing a gym. Like I think you've got some background to that now, but yeah, those two, they weave, right? They weave, and I'd be curious to hear your experience. Like, do you catalog things like in your life by where you
Well,
were at jujitsu?
first of all, the show is about you, not me. But I I like that pivot point. But no, look, I was just talking to somebody about this a couple of weeks ago. It's like, I don't think I really have to think hard about individuals who I know who are not part of jujitsu community, if you will.
Yeah,
Like, I only know few people who, like, don't fit into the jujitsu community factor. And everybody else is like literally probably my neighbors. Like, that's the extent of it.
yeah.
And everybody else, it just kind of somehow interconnects. And it's interesting too, because when I look at this from a perspective of outsider, it almost is like self-segregation in a sense. It's like people who don't train jujitsu, they kind of don't want to hang out with people who do, and vice versa. And
I get it.
to each their own. This is no judgment whatsoever. But I do believe that people who don't train jujitsu, they just don't get it. They don't
Yeah.
understand.
I think, and here's my thing, and I think that perspective is um interesting because it's self-shaped, right? Like, we think we self-segregated, but personally, like, if I was doing jujitsu, I don't know if I would have a large friend group. Like, our wedding was all our gym. Like, I don't know if I would have that same friend group, or a
Mhm.
friend group. Typically a very antisocial person. So I find comfort in being around people who want the same thing and do the same things. And that's why I'm so fond of my gym, because we're all very similar in purpose. Like, we're all here for the same reason. And I think with jujitsu, I think people find that. I had a hard time making friends after college because college is the last time you're with people your age that are all literally doing the same thing, whether it's studying or drinking. You're there and everybody's experiencing the same 4 years together, however many years. And coming out of college, I didn't have a lot of friends. And I looked around and I'm like, wow, everybody's still in the town I grew up in, drinking and just getting into nonsense. And it's like, man, like I'm a motivated guy. I work. I had a job. Like, I was looking for a serious relationship. I didn't want to be like just being a savage. And I'm with a bunch of people now that they come in, they understand the benefits and the the rigor of hard work and discipline and being fundamentally sound in things. And it's just being around people who want and like the same things um is to me is meaningful. It's not segregation in that regard. I think a lot of people in jujitsu, at least speaking on my behalf, like I'd be a lonely person without it probably.
So why is it that we gravitate to each other so much? I mean, like, granted, perhaps you guys have the same thing in common as far as the goal or work ethic, or you have this common thing that you click on, which is jujitsu, right? But I'm sure you guys are all different individuals, and this is not limited to your individual academy or your group. This is literally these pockets of people. This is what we call these communities, right? And some of them are 5,000 big and some of them are 20 big. And it's irrelevant of the size, but the common denominators are the same. It's like completely different individuals. They get in the same room. They beat the crap out of each other,
Yeah.
right? They blood, sweat, tears, the whole thing, with a common goal, just to do this thing. This is
Yeah.
very unique, isn't
I
it?
maybe I love jujitsu, and sometimes I think we make it more special than it is. I think if one of the other things I'm really into is like comic book stuff, some like nerdy stuff, and I think those people kind of gravitate towards each other too. I just whenever I think as humans, we just desire a sense of community. And I think the one thing that maybe jujitsu has more than others, and this is the reason we feel it, is because, like you mentioned, there's blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. It's a very intimate sport.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ups and downs. It is an individual sport, but there's strength through the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that jujitsu or combat sports in general just bring people together. I don't think it's special in that people come together, but it is definitely interesting and special in that the way that it happens is unique to jujitsu, and that is really cool. I think it's that way with any combat sport, and the gyms form their own pockets and stuff because they are groups of like-minded people. But jujitsu is not really an easy sport. It is grind if you want to do it for a long time or compete or whatever, and you find yourself, leaning on other people to prop you up and bring you up and keep you up. So it is special in that regard. But I think like I said, as humans, we desire a sense of community and belonging, and jujitsu is cool because it doesn't like disregard or segregate anybody. You know what I mean? There it doesn't discriminate. I have in my academy, I have a blind student. I have a student who's 79 years old. I have got kids and we all train together. A lot of us, there's days where those three people, I'll have a 12-year-old, the 79-year-old guy, and a blind student in the same class. And there's beauty in that. You know what I mean? So I think again, it's the jujitsu is for everyone, but it's not for anyone kind of deal. There is we're all here because we can be, but it's special because we are here.
So why is it then that many people quit? I mean, if it's so special, if it's so bonding, if we can bring each other up, if we can have this cohesiveness within a group, why? And like, I mean, there are different statistics on this, but like, there is no secret that probably 90% people quit before they get to their black belt. Like, that's probably a really generous number. I mean, why does that happen? Why can't we just all continue this?
Yeah, I mean, so I have a pretty pessimistic view sometimes of jujitsu, even though I'm singing its song right now. I think as a whole, I think people are quitters. It's just a natural progression. We just see it a lot, and we're biased in jujitsu, but it is a hard thing. Even the people that are tough, and I can attest to this myself. Like we look for moments to quit, and sometimes all you need is the excuse, whether it was COVID or an injury or having a kid or whatever. Their life again, the external factors are always going to be more variable than jujitsu. You know what I mean? The mats are always there for you; they don't leave. But life does happen, and that is a tough thing to weigh. So I think that's just a part of it. Like the external stuff weighs more than the constant, and people are as a whole generally quitters, and it is really really hard to come in and deal with adversity every day, deal with injuries, deal with slumps, deal with plateaus. So when you look at all those things, it's just a recipe for people quitting. I think it's a natural thing. It's a turnover sport. We had this conversation at the last gym with the existing co-owners. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna have so many members, and the community's great, and no one will ever leave because it's just such a great group of friends." And I'm like, "Well, that sounds nice, but that's not my experience. It's a high turnover sport, and it's hard. It's not always rainbows and butterflies. It is a hard sport, especially if you care about it. So I think that we'll see maybe less and less people quit as the sport grows and people learn how to make it more community friendly and raise the bar with instruction and making class fun and making people feel involved. But yeah, it's hard, man. Like it's hard. Even as a business owner, we see it a lot. Obviously, it's something that we have to track and keep an eye on. But I think it's gonna always be a part of the sport because life is more important than grappling with your friends.
Do you feel like that we, and by we, I mean the entire jiu-jitsu community, sells this jiu-jitsu experience as easy, accessible, come and join us, come and do it, just step on the mats. This is going to make you feel good. But in reality, this is essentially what you're describing, which I 100% agree with you. Jiu-jitsu is complex, and you need to have grit. You need to overcome major difficulties in order for you to stick around. Do you think that we like undersell it almost, in the sense
Yeah.
of getting people on board?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the sport's new, and if you look at a lot of the early gyms that weren't like big name people who actually knew what they were doing, um, they're all, remodeled karate schools or karate schools opening grappling, and those models have been copied and copied and copied, and it's the karate model. You know what I mean? Come in, you'll feel good, you'll get some stripes or whatever, and it's just not the truth. And one thing that I've prided myself on, and Kat's a big piece of this, is like we don't sell that. And I tell our students like straight up, we have a good school. It is not going to be easy. It is not always going to be fun. You're going to get better, but it's not going to be roses all the time. It is not, it's not easy for me to come in and get beat up by my purple belts. I can't imagine how the white belts feel. Um, so I do think we oversell, but that's a business thing. Like people do that to get people in the door. But I think, our retention here has been pretty solid because we're very transparent about that. It is not going to be easy, but if you're someone who likes hard work, if you're someone who likes to be disciplined, if you're someone who wants to get better and learn a quality martial art, then this is the spot for you. And we tell people like, hey, if you're here for self-defense, I'm gonna redirect you to the school down, it's 10 minutes away. It's gonna be more your speed. If you're here for XYZ only, it's probably not gonna be you. But hey, like, we're open with that, and I think that helps again with what you said. It's the retention thing because we're not selling something that they're not gonna get, right? So it isn't easy. I think people do market it, and I get it, but um, yeah, it's not an easy sport. I don't, again, it's no, not everybody's gonna stay. So don't sell something that it's not.
Is this the mindset that you had from the very beginning, or is that something you gained along the line or along the way?
Uh Personally, I think I've always felt that way. Kat and I have always kind of been self-starting and go-getters. Having the last gym was a little bit of a different. approach because there was two parties involved in owning the business. So we kind of had to cater to everybody because we had to keep everybody's best interest in mind. Versus right now where we're at, we can just kind of do what we want and we don't have to. There's no checks and balances in the regards that we don't have to appease a bunch of people to do that. So I think it's a mentality that I've always kind of had. It's just now something that we can actually kind of enforce and work towards. And I think that the product and the retention and the numbers speak for themselves on that in that regard.
Those are big lessons, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
You mentioned something earlier that you had some moments when you wanted to quit due to external circumstances. Why didn't you quit?
Um, yeah, great question. There's some I wish maybe I did sometimes, but um, you know, from a athlete and just a student perspective, um, you know, i- when I had a bad day, I needed somewhere to not have a bad day. And this was an hour and a half or 2 hours where I could not think about if I hated my job, um, if I was having a bad relationship day, if a family member passed. Jujitsu has always been the constant for me, in my place of peace in that sense. So as a student, it's always given me somewhere to go. Um, as an instructor, and I've been pretty transparent about this, I've probably wanted to quit more than ever with what happened. And the reason that we chose not to was because we felt like we owed it to people that believed in us and believed in themselves to continue the journey. So again, I'm very big on discipline over motivation, and I don't think that chasing, motivational factors or small rewards is the way to go. And when we decided to reopen, it was on the behalf of everybody because we felt it was in everybody's best interest. Um, I think that's just something I've gotten from my dad. My dad is a extremely hard worker. He's worked his whole life. He's the kind of guy that he had a widowmaker on a heart attack on a Saturday. He was back in at work on Monday. You know what I mean? That's how he is.
Old
So
school, huh?
he is old school, man. He is a old school dude. And it's just one of
Uh,
those things. He always told me, and this is like I played sports my whole life, and I've worked. There was times I had two jobs at a time. He always told me I'm better at 50% than 0%. Right? You're better being there than not being there at all. And as an instructor, as a business owner, um, the gym that we have now is a big thank you to everybody because they believed in us the first 2.5 years that we did this. And there was a lot of stories that we hadn't finished with people. You know what I mean? There was a lot of people that started because of us or stayed because of us, and it would be unfair to remove ourselves from the situation because of our external factors. So we trudge on. We trudge on.
well, and Kat talks about it too, like that passion that radiates from both of you guys. I feel like there is underlining mission to almost serve other people, to serve your students, which many outsiders, I'll tell you, outsiders might think you're nuts.
I
Like
am.
why not? Why the hell are you going through all this trouble?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably again, it's not in my best interest, and I don't really think it's what I want to do every day, and I don't say that because I'm not enjoying it. I don't get me wrong, I enjoy every day here. It's just not what I, intended or set out to do or wanted to do long term, and it's like she talked about in the podcast. It's long days, it's grueling days, um, but the 170 people that we have here, I love them, and we owe it to them, and they deserve it. That's why we did what we did. It's why we named the gym what we named it.
Mhm.
It's because it is a people, and they were also there for me when I went through the injuries or I lost a family member or whatever the case may be. So, in short, I owe it to them, and we will run it into the ground until it doesn't, and we will complete all the stories until further notice. So, on the path we stay.
On the path we stay. Well, good for you. I mean, I gotta give you my head goes off to you for the grind, both of you. Really, you putting all of this in front of you and you really attacking it head on. I mean, that some credit is due. I mean, that's not again. You said this before yourselves. A lot of people will quit. There's many reasons to quit. right?
I
Like,
think sometimes I should still, but like I said, that's not the it's not it's
what
I'm
would Kat
it's
say about this? That's the question.
when everything happened, she was I think she was a lot more invested in jujitsu than I was. She's had a lot more success as a competitor.
Mhm.
I think it's done a lot for her on a mental health side and everything, and a physical side. She enjoys the sport, I think, a lot more than I do. So she was gonna figure it out and continue, whether it was just training or going back to our home school or whatever. I was on the path of like, hey man, like I called my coach and I was like, I'm done. Like I thank you for everything. I cried and I said, it the sport took more from me than it gave me. And perspective's 2020. I don't know if that's necessarily the truth. I just know I missed out on a lot of life because of it, but it's given me a lot of life. Um, so
That's a
I
big acknowledgement, AJ. I mean,
yeah,
just even in the moment when we are emotional, to say like, I'm not sure if this makes sense. It takes a lot of balls to even say, acknowledge this to yourself, let alone to say it to somebody else.
yeah, I am very selfish. I'm very aware of that, and this is probably the least selfish thing I've ever done. Um, but yeah, I look back at like, you said it. How much time have I missed with my family? Um, how much time have I missed with my pets? There was a day, um, I'm gonna try not to get choked up. My raccoon died. We had a pet raccoon, and he was my, number one thing in life. He was my best friend, and we died. He died at night. We were at the gym, and I think to myself like every day, like, could we have been there? Right? Like, that's something I have to look at and be like, well, you know what? When everything crashed down on us, and we lost the gym, it's like, do I want to do this again? Like, could I just experience life? Do I miss having a home cooked meal at 6 o'clock versus door dashing at 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
Kat talks about this, doing her job, nursing job, and after whatever X hours, she gets to the academy and she doesn't get home. And like, I mean, both of you guys are grinding. This is not any limited to you. I mean, I think this
no,
is every Jiu-Jitsu academy business owner at the beginning.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I remember working two jobs. I remember leaving my house before 6 o'clock and not coming back until 11 p.m. and like not seeing my family, doing all over next day. I mean, that's a grind, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
I
why
look
the hell
back.
do we do it?
Um,
Why do you do it?
Me personally, again, I think there's a couple of things. The big thing is, again, I think there's a bigger piece to it, and it's not me. And I think it would be selfish to just um pull myself out of it because I am sad or because it's not what I want to do or I want to throw a tantrum or whatever. The other thing is like, you know, when you look back at it, and this is like goes back to the bear, right? Like they talk so much about legacy, those guys slave away in restaurants for years and hours to create something that's gone at each table in moments or seconds. And um they slave and they give their entire life to being a chef. And it's like, what people remember was their restaurant or their dish. You know what I mean? Maybe they never see it get created or whatever. And to me, like it would be really cool if someone picks this gym up when we're done and runs with it. Or people remember, oh, you remember AJ and Kat? Like they used to have like the most exquisite group of competitors and students, and the culture was great, and they were just crushing it at a competitive level. So I think a little bit of it, if there is any selfish part to it, is definitely legacy. I think I can do more doing this than I could um, being a cog at a desk. You know what I mean? Which was the whole name for the last gym was a Clockwork Orange team. Is like I didn't want to just be a slave to the wage. And I think this is my way to find some meaning in life where I'm not just doing something that is only about me. And I am very self-aware. I'm very selfish in some regards. And I think this was a way to not do that, maybe.
Are you on a mission?
Uh, I'm determined. I'm disciplined. I don't know
Are you
what
stubborn?
Yeah. Oh yeah. In everything. I get scared to maybe answer mission because that would be there's some end goal. And I think this is like, again, it's just such an
Oh.
evolving process. I'm on a mission in the sense that I'm standing in front of a bunch of people I'm leading that I care about, and we're doing this together. But I don't know if it's a personal, like, hey, this is the goal mission. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, that's deep. Because I never thought about mission would mean that you accomplished it at some point, and there is an end.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that changed my perspective a bit. I like it. Let's go to the beginning of all of this.
Yeah.
I often ask virtually every episode, and I ask Kat too. But
Sure.
what was your first day like? Do you remember your very very first day on the mat?
I don't. I really don't.
Really, you
No.
don't?
Man, I don't know if it's just because I didn't think it was gonna be special. Maybe I didn't put weight into that it was going to be the start of something that crept up and evolved, or if it's just that I've been doing this for so long or there's been so many big moments, but I really don't remember my first day. I wish I could. I
What's
really
the
do.
earliest memory that you remember from Jiu-Jitsu?
I remember signing up. I do remember that. Yeah.
Clearly, they didn't beat you up enough.
No, no. So, I watched a lot of MMA in college. I
Hmm.
wrestled for up through, I think, early high school. I've done sports my whole life. I was on a crash course with doing some martial art one way or another. And my buddy Andy and I, my best friend, we lived together and we were like, man, we should do something more than drinking beers, right? And I am very impulsive. I think he will agree, and I think his mom loves me because I bring the impulsive, free life side out of him. He was much more reserved and calm and calculated. He's the valedictorian of his class. I'm the class clown of my class. You know what I mean?
All right,
Um,
defined impulsive. I want to hear this.
I'm just more maybe not impulsive, maybe spontaneous. I'm more willing to take a risk on something and just shoot my shot on something than he probably was. Which is important to the story. But I yeah, maybe I'm just like more, liberal in my investment of energy, I guess. But we uh we went to check out a couple gyms, and then we went to the gym that I did all of my training at, Paramount Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And they give you a tour, they give you a little questionnaire, everything. They ask what you're trying to get out of this, blah, blah, blah. And then, they get to the hook, right? Like, here's the price. What do you think? Like, if you do this today, we'll take this off or whatever. And, I'm like, "Oh, man, like, I don't know if the numbers, it's a lot." Like, I'm just out of college, like, that's a lot of money. Andy and I are bachelors, we're not really sure if this is the play. And Andy's like, "I'll do it." And I look at him like, "Bro, what are you we didn't talk about this. I figured we're gonna talk," you know what I mean? Uh, so I signed up. So I signed up because he flipped it on me. He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." But we lived together, so we were able to drive together. He actually joined Muay Thai. I did jujitsu. He joined Muay Thai. But it was. I remember it because I just, for the first time I looked at him. I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" Like, because that's not him and that was not me. So we flipped roles for a second there, and it was like, "Oh shit, I guess I'm signing up, huh?"
So regrets?
No, no, no. It was just a funny moment. I remember that more than actually, like, going into class. I think the white belt was a blur for me. There was a lot that happened.
Was that not impactful in a sense of just flew by very fast?
No, it was definitely impactful. I just think, as far as like a first day milestone or first submission milestone, I don't remember any of that. It just I think maybe I was like, so present that I didn't have time to just be like, that was my first sub, or that was my first whatever. I remember my first match, my first tournament. I do remember those, but I don't really remember, like, a lot of the big milestones that happened, which is good because now, as I have white belts, I'm like, "Yo, don't, like, hey, I know they're calling you, don't go. I'll be there in 2 minutes. Tell them to give you 2 minutes. I'll make sure we record your match." And they're like, "Oh, it's not a big deal." I'm like, "Trust me, like, you're gonna want all this. Like, you're gonna want your matches.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna want to remember your first stripe. We document everything." Like, it was the Wild West for me. I really just didn't think to care about it yet. You know what I mean?
Well, to all fairness, I think, back then, first, the technology wasn't the same.
That's
Number
true.
two, the awareness of importance, I think it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Like, I have zero pictures. Granted, I started in 2000, but I have zero pictures of any of my promotions, of any of my terms. Like, none of this existed. It wasn't important. You know what I mean? Like, the priorities, I think, were different in life versus now. I feel like everything is documented, everything is filmed and photoed, and like, even in my academy, I know it, every stripe, every recognition, every first class, everything is documented.
Yep.
And we want to, I suppose we want to make it different for them as they are starting versus what we experienced, at the beginning of our journey. So it's always interesting how these things evolve.
Yeah.
A moment ago, you said there were, white belt was a blur. You learned a lot of things. I wonder if right now if you came across AJ white belt today, boom, you bumped in a store, in a parking lot, whatever. What is the one thing you would tell him not to do in jiu-jitsu?
Man, that's
Oh,
tough.
I know. Oh, I know. That's why I asked.
That is tough. I think it's dangerous whenever you say when not to do something, it almost certainly happens, right?
Yep.
And the fact that I'm still here tells me that I probably did what I needed to do. Um I do have a story a lot of people cannot say. I landed at the perfect school. I was happy with where I was and who I was training with, and I traveled, and my wife loves it. She's heavily involved. There's nowhere where I would say, don't do this. Um, maybe in hindsight looking back, there's better investments in time that I would have, spent doing. Like
Like
I just
what?
talk, like I just talked about this recently, but like at blue belt I was hitting people with bottom side baseball bat chokes, which at a high level doesn't work. So I spent a lot of my time um really working on things that were low level that weren't replicable at a high level. But I don't know, I studied, like I think I did a lot of the things right. I just maybe I don't know. I really don't know if I would tell myself anything different. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, aside from like one or
Well,
two big instances.
let's dig into this for a moment, because I had the same conversation with one of my brown belts. Do you think you would be where you are and who you are if you didn't, quote unquote, wasted your time for the baseball chokes from the bottom?
Yeah, I wish I didn't do that. I wish there's like a lot of stuff.
But hold on, hear me out. So what I'm saying is, like, do you think that was wasted time, or do you think that shaped you into what you experience it today? Like, let's just say you went completely different path. Do you think you would end up as good as you are, or do you think you actually would be better?
No, I would be better for sure.
You think so?
There's things I'm learning at black belt that fundamentally my blue and purple belts are doing that I wasn't doing until black belt. And some of that was because I was young and the sport's young and there
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a DVD era yet and Instagram wasn't big, and um, you know, we were doing what we could. I just didn't, again, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can only have that with perspective. But yeah, in hindsight, like maybe I'd probably be spending my time a little better. I think I definitely could be better. I didn't think I even got good until the last maybe 6 months or so, which is probably another reason I haven't quit. Is like, wow, I was like, wow, I just figured this out. I want to, keep competing to see if I can hit new stuff. But I don't know if it was wasted time per se, but it was definitely time I could have used spent doing better things with a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I think there's a false flag registry in jiu-jitsu when you're new and you're training with people, or just in general even at a high black belt level. Like you get a lot of false flags. You build a lot of skills or tendencies or habits around people not being good around you, right? And then you think
Hmm.
that so and so works. Um, I fancied myself as a leg locker for I don't know a long time, and then I was winning a lot of matches by leg lock, but almost all of my losses were also leg lock related. So is that a time that I could have spent learning defense? Probably, yeah.
But isn't this almost a consequence of everything that we do in life?
Yeah,
I mean, like I'm thinking, look, you have a swimmer who swims, I don't know, with freaking breaststroke, and they are not good with butterfly, or you have a driver who drives, I don't know, semi trucks, but they are not good with driving with race cars. I mean, isn't this just a consequence of life? We focus on one area and we have to give up another area. I mean, a guy who is really good with, I don't know, pressure passing is not going to be really good with passing the La Hiva guard. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
there's always
It's
a consequence where we shift our attention to.
Yeah, there is a opportunity loss with every choice, right? And
Right, exactly.
I
100%.
think I think that is fair. That being said, the greater cost could be less if the other choice is different. You know what I mean? So that's
True.
my only thought on that is it's not that it was bad or that it's inevitable. It's just there could be things that were different. If I chose to learn XYZ, it is what it is, but maybe my guard would have been better had I not spent time doing something gimmicky on bottom. I think about like the buggy choke that way. You know what I mean? Like, does it work structurally? Yes. Are people getting caught with it? Yes. Is it fundamentally sound? Probably not. And I watch a lot of people who don't have any guard because they've relied on buggy choking people at a blue belt level, and now they don't have a guard at purple, brown, and black. And that's not an indictment of that particular move, but that's just the trend that I see is you get early success, and it becomes very, very easy to fall in love with, and then you don't realize that there is an opportunity cost elsewhere
I
for
feel like
something that's more impactful.
I feel like that's a struggle for many lower belts these days. Like today, they, I feel like there's this trend of trying to break the code, if you will, with one or two moves versus really decoding the fundamentals or the core how to move in general.
Nah,
Would you agree with that? Like, I feel like guys are trying to figure out how to do a flying triangle or a boogie choke or whatever, a twister, and submit everybody with the same thing versus just learn how to control the distance.
yeah, I think um I don't even know if that's a jujitsu problem. I think there's an instant gratification problem.
Yes,
And
100%.
that's life, that's social media, that's
Mhm.
everything right now. But you see it in jujitsu so much. And again, it's not an indictment of all jujitsu, but the skill level, even at a high level, is very low. Um, you can say someone is the top of the sport, but even so, like the decision making process isn't very good at a high level sometimes. I just watch ADCC trials and some of the guys I watch win. I'm like, what were they doing out there? You're watching guys not know the points, not know the rules, coaches not know the rules. It is a very immature sport still. And it's just, again, it's cyclical because you get false flags and you get these little bursts of, false gratification and quick gratification because you hit a submission or you hit the move or whatever. And, in hindsight, you have to look back at it and say, is that replicable? And it was a conversation my coach had with me that I give to everybody and I value so much. And I tell them, hey, look at the highest level black belt, ADCC, worlds, pans, gi, no gi, all of it. Just look at the highest level and are we doing or are you doing what those guys are doing? And some of it might be concept based, like you said, space control, stuff like that. Like I think the ecological guys are nailing the understanding of the why stuff. And then there's just like the technique side of it is like, are you doing the strategies and the moves that the best guys are doing constantly? Is there data to support what you're doing? Or is it working because it's working right now? And that is a really, really hard thing because you want to look at it and say, well, yeah, it just look what happened. I just won my match. And it's like, well, you did now. What's going to happen in a couple of years when it gets hard?
Yeah, so I think that this is one of those things that is extremely difficult to measure. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. I mean, this is very different than any other sport like baseball, football, or soccer, or whatever, the hockey, right? Where there's a lot of those
Huh?
measurable components, if you will, right?
Yes.
Versus in jiu-jitsu, it's there's a lot of gray areas, which is very difficult to measure, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big stats guy. I track all of our wins and losses, our
Same.
submission rate. I've got a little sheet, all that stuff. I'm a big numbers guy. And I hadn't thought about it like that before. Is like you're right. Like nobody accidentally hits a three-pointer. Nobody accidentally throws a touchdown. Nobody accidentally hits a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. That doesn't happen. You can't swing with one arm once and then all of a sudden you think it works. Like it doesn't work. But in jiu-jitsu, like you can reasonably tap a really good person by accident or something that they're extremely weak in. And
Hmm.
you just don't see that in other sports. And it's hard to teach because of that. It's hard to learn because of that. It's hard to get great because of that. And that's something I didn't realize until, maybe brown or black belt is like, holy crap, I'm maybe not that good. Maybe I don't understand it as well as I thought. And there is just so much more out there. And I am like, I sound like the old guy now when I tell our guys, like, listen, I said this, we had a competition class this past Sunday, and I was making them do new stuff. And at the end, I try not to be too big on speeches, but the one thing I was like, I want you guys to be really exceptional black belts. I don't want you guys to be good purple belts that became black belts. And I think that distinction is really important to make because, um, I came from a great school. I think I did as much as I could, but I don't look at myself and say, wow, you're a great black belt. I almost feel as I'm a cautionary tale to, 170 people that train with me that I need to tell them, like, this is the path and you know, don't take the forbidden fruit, you know what I mean? Don't take the shiny route because it seems really, really awesome and really, really fruitful. It's not gonna be that way. So I don't want good purple belt. I don't want good white belts. I don't want good blue belts. They can be good there, but I don't want them to just be good there and then they put time in, they get their black belt because that was what they were owed or at that they had time in, you know what I mean? Like I want exceptional black belts. I want to hand that to the person and nobody in the room questions it. You know what I mean? I'm sure in your experience and everybody's experience if they're watching, uh, they've looked at somebody and said, that guy's a black belt. It happens, and I don't want any of that here.
But that's hard. What you're describing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Because what
hard,
you what
hard
you
as a pin.
asking what you asking people and students to do essentially is ignore all this immediate satisfaction that you're getting right now, and I want you to put your head down and go back to work.
Yeah. Again, it's a parallel for life. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That you
Hmm.
can take the easy route, but it's in the grand scheme, it might not be as rewarding. But that's the culture here. So it's not something that surprises people. I use this and I will use it. I'm sure people have heard this story a million times, and I'm sure I'll tell it a million more. I have two D1 wrestlers, they're twins. They can wrestle the piss out of anybody that you put in front of them. You know what I mean? At any tournament, it's what they can do. And could they become black belts? And I'm sure we've seen black belt wrestlers, right? That they know a guillotine, they know rear naked choke, and they know how to wrestle people to either position. Um, there was I don't know, 3 or 4 month period where they only pulled guard in class, and then when they competed, I only let them pull guard. They weren't allowed to wrestle. And my one student was in the finals match, and he was down, I think 1 or 2. A takedown could have, won it or tied it to pass or whatever. And he came up on a failed sweep. They're both standing, and he did exactly what I needed him to, and he sat. And he lost. He lost the match. He lost from guard position. But
But
that
AJ, many people would right now would criticize this. This is a
Sure.
bad coaching.
Sure.
This is crap right now because their job is to win the match, versus you
Sure.
trying to build a long-term skill, which is being not unseen right now. And wrestling and jiu-jitsu is such an interesting dynamics.
Yeah.
They are so, and I have wrestlers here. I've like, and it is so easy for them to dominate from a wrestling perspective. But the question is, are you in a wrestling room or are you doing jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. I mean, the question really is, do you want to get better?
True. Very true.
I put constraints on people all the time, and I do it to myself. I don't know. Probably can't count on how many, or two hands, how many inside heel hooks I've hit from 50-50. And 2 matches ago, I told myself that if I got in that position, I would let my hands go, and I did. Um, could I have gotten my leg snapped? Sure. Does that guy get to go post on Instagram that he beat me? Yeah, he did. But the night before I posted that I was not going to win from 50-50 inside heel hook. I refused to do it. There's a level of accountability in our program that I have not seen elsewhere, and it makes me proud because I do watch these guys go out and these gals, and they want to get better. And I don't care if we lose because we're playing our C game and somebody beats us. Cool. They get to go write that in their journal, post it on their Instagram. But we're chasing growth here and not wins. Wins come. And again, I want wins at a high level. I want wins over time. I don't need them at grappling industries every single time. And our numbers say that we do. We're very fortunate that we have a winning academy, but I don't care about the results. I want the growth. And sometimes that goal is different. I have guys that'll go out and maybe they win all the time and their goal, and it's safe. They play safe, right? And maybe their goal is just go have fun. Go try something flying. Go do an Imanari. Go try a leg lock for the first time. You know what I mean? Go play off your back. The goal for us is growth here, and we are steadfast in that. I can stand by that, and maybe not everybody will buy into that from other academies, but hey, if you guys beat us and you feel good about it when we're trying other stuff, great. If you beat us when we're trying our A game, great. But I'm playing the long game here. We're going to get better because we're trying to get better and not because we're trying to win.
AJ, let me ask you an important question. I also love this conversation continues. Do you ever get satisfied?
In small bits, right? That's kind of like what I was saying. I think chasing that moving carrot is there. I've had a couple hundred matches at this point, and there's matches I haven't been satisfied with that I've won. I've had losses where I've been elated. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. So I think it's the thing for us is we're structure, and goal oriented, and that goal can change, and it doesn't have to be winning. So my 2 matches ago that I had, my goal was to do something new. It was to do something I haven't done in however 100 many matches. It was to do something new and be uncomfortable in bad situations. I was feeding the guy my leg, like just giving it to him because there was something specific I wanted to hit. And if he taps me, cool. It's a long ride home for me, and he gets a win. But I would have been more satisfied losing that match than hitting an inside heel hook from 50-50 for sure. So satisfaction is like you have to chase it through discipline.
Where does this grit come from? You ever thought about that? I mean, it is pretty clear through this conversation that you are very determined, maybe stubborn a little bit. There is clear,
100%.
there's clear vision, or well, you don't like that phrase, but there is clear paths that you are chasing with the goalpost constantly moving, but you constantly looking to get better. Where is this sourcing? Like, why not just take an easier route?
Because I've had incredible role models. My dad is a hard worker, maybe to a fault. He raised me the right way as a teammate, as a student, as a worker. I think it was my mom passed when I was in high school, and I might be blurry, but I'm almost 90% sure. It was like the day or weekend of her funeral. It might have been the day of. I played a baseball game. Because I signed a commitment in the beginning of the year that I was going to be a part of that team, and my team was counting on me. So again, maybe to a fault, but my dad, I think, raised me in a way to realize that that is what you do. When you make a commitment, you do it and you follow it through. I've also had, you know, the most exceptional head coach. My coach, Brad Court, has been more than X's and O's for me. It has been more than triangles and arm bars. He has been a motivational support. He's been a leader. You know, I've had moments where he's heat checked me. You know, I bring up a story. There was a moment where I lost a big match, and I went on Instagram, and I thought it was important to acknowledge losses as much as wins. So I posted it, and it just said "fuck," and he messaged me. He's like, "Hey man, like you teach kids, right? Like you gotta be better than that online." And I was like, "Wow, like yeah, like yeah, you're right." And you know, Brad has given me the freedom to be me, but he's always made sure I stayed between the lines. And maybe without him, I go too far one way or the other. And I've had exceptional leadership in my life, between my dad and my coach. So I would be remiss to say that it was something that I just was born with, and grit is something I have. I have been forged by two amazing, incredible men that were able to, you know, set the path right for me.
Good for you. I think many people don't have the leadership as you're describing today.
No, I'm lucky.
I think there's a lot of confused young people these days, and they seek, you know, their leadership as an example in the really wrong places. And
Yeah.
I think having a male role model for a young man is critical. It's
Yeah.
critical to these days. So good for you. That's awesome.
Like I said, I'm probably you know, not a statistic in, you know, how many I've stayed with him white through black. I've had my coach through all the ups and downs. And like I said, you know, as much as the technique he's given me has been awesome, he's done so much more. And it felt really validating, and I felt very connected to him. When I quit, he didn't, you know, he didn't say, "Hey man, you should, you know, you should stay," or like whatever. He didn't push me. He listened to me. And you know, it almost felt, you know, like I shouldn't, because he wasn't worried about making a dollar off me, or me covering classes, or me just being in the room. He was like worried about me as a human, and he was like, "You know, I would understand that." And I just he relates on so many different levels, like through this the time he's had in the sport. And it's nice to just be like, wow, he's done it, so I can do it. And you know, he's a very stoic person. He's very quiet. Um, if I have him in my corner in a big match, it's not because I need to hear him yell to knee cut or to put more pressure. It's because I know before or after the match, he's going to tell me exactly what I need to hear. And maybe it's not for that match. Maybe it's for the rest of my journey. There's so many little stupid grappling industries matches where he said something before or after that I've said to my students, or that changed the trajectory of the sport for me. And I want to take this time because I maybe I haven't said it enough, but I'm truly lucky to have had him.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Really good for you. I mean, that this is, I think moments like this are amazing, where we can acknowledge and process this information. I really appreciate people who are surrounding us. All right, one more question.
Yeah.
Who's more stubborn, you or Cat?
It depends what it comes down to. It depends. It depends what it
I
comes
think I
down
answered
to.
the same question. So
Yeah, it's probably me on a wholesale thing, but I will say this. She's very steadfast in what she wants to do if she sets her mind to something. And you know, I've been lucky to have my coach, but I've also been lucky to have her. There's been a lot of days where I refuse to get out of bed and train, and she rips me out of bed and we go train. Or you know, quitting, you know what I mean? She respected what I wanted to do, but she, you know, ushered me into not doing that. So she's been stubborn in the right ways, and it's been nothing but a help. We butt heads, we check each other, we critique each other. So we're both very stubborn. But I think it's for the better. It's for the better.
good for you. I think good partner in life is really important, and all that brings the dynamic to really feed off of each other and continue growing, because that's what life is really truly all about. Have you thought, before we wrap this up, have you thought about the first day that your friend pulled the trigger very quickly and signed up, and you thought that you guys going to be talking and thinking about it? Have you ever thought what would happen if you didn't sign up? If you just didn't happen? Where would you
Yeah, I
be?
mean,
What would you be
it's
doing in your life?
I don't know. It's funny because he is my best friend. He was the best man in my wedding, and
Does he still train?
no, no. So, but he moved. We had our own business together and a lot of things. But he moved to North Carolina for some time, and he was just up. I think it was last week, and he came and saw the gym, and he just walked in, and I was like, man, like, isn't it crazy? This is kind of a domino or butterfly effect because of what
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
No, the I don't know what life would look like if I didn't do the sport. I do think about the little things like, yeah, it would be really cool to go home to a cooked meal or just do laundry at a normal time or take care of the house. I do think about the day-to-day things that would be a lot nicer to replace if I didn't have jujitsu. But I don't know where I would be. I don't know if Kat and I would have worked the same. I love her dearly and I know she feels the same. But jujitsu's been there when things weren't good and we've done it together and we've experienced the world together and it's something that we have in common, which we didn't have in common at one point. So, um, a lot of my best friends are from jujitsu. I don't know, maybe I keep doing the t-shirt line that I was doing and I'm a multimillionaire, or maybe I'm literally at the job that I'm doing or worse, clicking keyboards on it and just doing Excel sheets and either being miserable or completely complacent at it, which might be scarier. But I don't think too much about it because that's not what I did.
Good for you. I think a lot of people dream about big things, but they are afraid to pull the trigger. I think there's a lot of people who complain and whine about their life, but they are afraid to take action. And I feel like you are the complete opposite of it. You're very calculated about what you do, but at the same time, you are not afraid to make choices. And those choices are simply for your life to be better. It's
Yeah.
very fascinating. I think not a lot of people think like you.
Yeah, it's all go big or go home. Even with the two gyms that we've opened now, it's not been let's go get a little strip mall joint and run two classes a day. It is let's get 200 students overnight. Let's compete at a world level. Let's get fighters. It's always been that way, and I'm probably that way with really everything. And maybe that's what I was saying earlier about like, maybe not being is maybe impulsive is not the word, but for me it has always been let's do it and let's do it big. Even with pets, we've had exotic pets and all things like that. It's so when I do something, it is full speed ahead, eyes closed. Let's get it done.
So now I'm curious, what exotic pets do you have?
Right now we have a skunk. He is our second skunk. As I mentioned earlier, I had a raccoon. At one point when and this was early, Cat and I were only like dating for like 6 months. We had a raccoon, a rabbit, and a hedgehog. Um, so I've had a little bit of everything, but I have a flair for the extreme, whether
Do they
it's
do they
pink
live
hair.
are they like in your place, or like, forgive my ignorance, but I
Yeah.
don't know how this stuff works.
Yeah, I have a pet skunk right now. So he's the second one we had. They both were rescues. They were bred as pets and surrendered by their owners because they were not treated correctly.
Yeah.
Um, so the skunk sleeps with me every night. He has free range of the house. And he is best friends with our dog.
I'm laughing because many people would think you're nuts.
Oh, I am. Yeah, for sure. I mean, everything I do is bold. Like I said,
I love it.
whether it's pink hair. I don't know if you've ever seen me compete. It
Oh,
is not.
I've seen your pink hair. That doesn't
Is
get more pink than your hair. I mean,
no. There's never. I don't think. Gun to my head, I can't name a single boring match I've ever had. It is always go big or go home, man. If I had the money to get a car, it might not be a nice car, but it would be a wild looking car. Like everything is big. Look at the colors of our gym and our last gym. With me, it is bold. You are going to know that I am there, and that is all the way down to, like I said, hair, pets, brash guards, geese. it is always it's always an interesting path. I'm definitely an individual in that way.
Well, AJ, I think that's very refreshing with that very cookie cutter like life that many have and unwilling to take risks. And you're really grinding towards the opposite. And it's all with the goal to grow, to get better, for your life to be better, and really do what you love. And that's really refreshing behind your story.
I appreciate
AJ,
that.
AJ, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your story, being vulnerable, and really opening up about a lot of these things, because I think a lot of people struggle with these things, and even just a simple conversation like this really can guide people in many directions. If anybody wants to connect with you as a follow-up to this conversation, or perhaps even visit your place or train with you or seek some advice, where are you to be found?
Yeah, so I am ever present online. You can find me on Instagram, AJ_Jitsu. You can get me there. And our gym is in Limerick, Pennsylvania. It's about 40 minutes outside of Philly. It's New Asgard Martial Arts. All of our social medias are at New Asgard Martial Arts. We respond pretty quickly, and we're doors are open to everybody. So if you want to come down and train or whatever, we're here, and I'm very, very easy to connect with. So
Awesome. Well, AJ, once again, thanks for being here. I'll post all the links to everything that you mentioned in the show notes of the episode. So if you guys like to connect with the AJ or Cat for that matter, feel free. And don't forget, if you didn't listen to Cat's episode, it was 266. So there's a correlation there. And AJ, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing that story. I truly, truly appreciate it. You're a fascinating guy. And I'll be sitting on the sidelines and just watching as all of this is unfolding in a very bold-like manner. So I appreciate you.
no, thank you. I've done a lot of speaking engagements and things and podcasts, and I feel like I was worried I wasn't going to have stuff to talk about, but I think you brought a completely different story and side out of me. So that's on you. I props to you, but I'm excited for people to listen. It was a different side, but I'm glad I got to share some of the reason we're here and why we're doing what we're doing and what we're doing.
Awesome. All right, AJ, let's wrap it up for today.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.